Hi, my name is Michael, and I am the project manager for the new build in LeRoy, New York that we got going on right now. We are standing within the basement of the foundation, and we're going to talk about it with you guys, so stay tuned. So, I'm 6'3", just for reference. We're standing within 8'2" superior walls. So that's gonna give you a pretty good height in your basement. You know, we're gonna have to run some mechanicals and stuff. Your floor system is gonna sit on top of these panels. So, you know, right above the window here. Also, crazy thing, good operational windows. Get some light, get some air in the basement whenever you need to. But yeah, so eventually we will be pouring a slab here, and we already have the drainage in there, or the drain tile, I should say. And we got some stuff over here I'd like to show you. So a couple key elements within, it's actually within the floor system that we'll be putting on here, which will, you know, be our first floor. The spans are very large. We're using open web wood trusses. So we did need some columns to come down, and that's why we have these pads here. So if you can imagine, a column is going to be coming down here, supporting some girder trusses above. And then we also have another column over there that's going to be doing the same thing. You know, we prepped the site, put the drain tile in, and all the stone, one stone, but you know, when you put the drain tile in, we didn't, you know, account for where that footer was, so we're just gonna have to rebury that drain tile right there. So obviously it was in their way. All they did was just kind of pick it up, lay the pad where they needed to, and then we can move that drain tile to where we needed to have it. You know, when we go through and finally put the foundation concrete pad on there. A really cool thing about these superior walls is that there are no footers. So we're sitting on 8 inches of stone right now. We did 8 inches just because we wanted a little bit more structural integrity rather than 6. But really these walls are just sitting on top of this stone. You know, if we wanted to, we could kind of burr that out a little bit and, you know, really reach to the other side. So that's the really good thing about these superior walls, is that you just lay a bed of stone down, they'll come in, and they will just take these big panels and place them down on site, connect them all together, and it all works out in the end. You can see here how they connect it right here with some bolts. They'll bolt these panels together, and then they use a hydro mix to seal it all up, kind of like caulking the seams. So the good thing about these panels, you can see they come pre-insulated. So there's some styrofoam in there, but then also there's like these aluminum brackets, so it's easy to hang up drywall and finish them if you would want a finished basement. You could also just leave them bare, and they're perfectly fine just like that. So if you didn't want to finish your basement, or if you wanted to do it later on down the road, you always have that option. Another thing about this basement in particular is that it's such a large basement. I think it's like 2,300 square foot, 2,400 square foot, around there average. So because of that size, we wanted to have 2 sump crock locations. So we have one off in the corner over there, and then we also have one by the walkout basement entrance, just to keep that water mitigated if it were to infiltrate the basement. And, you know, having the 2 locations will make sure that there's plenty of drainage for the basement if necessary, for this size basement. So now we can take a walk around site and look out the foundation, blah, blah, whatever. Okay, so now I'm walking out of the walkout of the basement. So, you know, once this is all said and done, you'd be able to walk right out from this basement into the yard. So this is going to be a key element for back here, because, you know, it's always nice to have a Bilco door if your foundation is, you know, your grade is sitting a little bit higher. But At the same time, a walkout is just as nice, if not better, because it's so much easier. You don't have to worry about going down a Bilko set of stairs and things like that. So that's where this location is going to be some nice retaining wall, some stones that are going to be holding the grade back away from here, and probably like a couple steps up, because you can kind of see where the grade is going to be sitting. But there's definitely a lot of site work to be done here, a lot of fill, but it's going to look really cool, and we're all really excited to see what this outcome is. So now we're looking at the exterior of these superior wall panels. So you can see it's concrete, waterproof. We are going to take an extra waterproof measure just so we are going to lay a material on the outside perimeter of this wall, and that material is going to allow water to just run down into our drainage, our cavity drainage, our drain tile. It's going to run down into our drain tile, which is the foundation drainage, and so that's going to be a really nice detail. Again, you could see all these outside corners and inside corners are all caulked with that hydraulic cement, if you will. And you know, this is how the windows are going to look on the outside. Nothing too special with these windows. Obviously the architectural windows that we have on order for the house right now, they're a little bit more fancier, but because these are just foundation windows, they didn't have to be as fancy. They also come pre-installed from Superior Walls. So I just told Superior Walls, hey, you know, I want 4 of these windows. They said, this is the size. I said, put them at the top so that the floor system sits right above it and acts as like the header for it. And we're all good to go there. So it's gonna be a good time. So with the site, you know, we're gonna have to do a lot of fill around this house. And it's cool because now we can play with the site and the grading and actually make some really unique site designs. And it's not just going to be a typical looking house in the middle of a field. It's going to look really nice and have like some elevations and some topography changes to it. So we're really excited about that. Over on this side of the house, you can see how the grade actually changes, because now I'm standing, it's probably about almost waist high to me. On the other side, it was pretty much all the way down to where that foundation was being laid. So again, Superior Walls is coming down, and actually you can see our exterior drain tile kind of peeking out over here. Must have gotten uncovered by the guys when they were installing, but you know, we'll get that installed and covered up properly by the time the foundation is done. So now let's go over to the garage. I can show you what the garage foundation walls look like, because they're a little bit different, a little bit more intricate than these guys right here. So let's take a walk on over there. So now we're walking on the driveway. We installed the driveway. There's definitely going to need to be some revisions done to this, as we're going to have to lift a little bit to the house, add some retaining walls, add some fill again. But this is really just the main driveway to get here, so we can get trucks in and out, and any heavy material that comes in, we'll at least have a good pad for them to lay down on. We got some more stone, some leftover stone back there, because we're going to need to be filling a lot, and especially when we get to this garage foundation. The garage foundation is a 4'8" superior wall, because you don't need a full basement height like the 8'2". So that's what you can see here. You can see the cutouts for the man door, and the garage doors. Is even a cutout for another garage door in the rear there. But you can see the intricate detail for this, because the start of the garage foundation is actually an 8'2" wall, just like the rest of the basement. And then they even cut out, and this is great about Superior Walls, because they do all this, all comes precast panels, and then they just come in and drop it. So if you look at it right here, they had a step where we could lay this 4'8" wall right there, and then you can seam that, you seam it right there, and you're good to go. And you're actually, because of that step, you're allowed to span no more than 5 feet. So that's why there's okay to be a gap right here, because we have plenty of foundation landing on that side, because we are, you know, at approximately 4 feet for a span as of right now. Now all this is going to get filled, but for the time being, until we get into that, then this will be okay. Okay, so now we're standing at the story pole. So this story pole is going to tell us where our elevations are for the site. So
what's a story pole? Just explain that.
So a story pole is going to be marking the elevations for the site. So if any contractor comes here, whether they're a sub, whether they're us, we can all go to the story pole and see what level we're starting off of. Right now, top of wall for these superior walls is marked out because the top of wall is the same for the basement walls and the garage foundation. You can see that is all aligned. So that is where we want to be. We know that we're 8'2" down for those walls. We're 4'8" for those walls. And then we also know we have a 16-inch floor system, 16 1/4, going on top of that. So that's probably going to be around there. And that's where your finished floor height is going to be. You can see how that puts this house a little high in the air. Now, during the natural process of construction, we did run into a little bit of groundwater, so we had to do raising of the foundation. Now, we did that because the owners, the clients, they still wanted a full basement because, who doesn't want a full basement? It's safe, it's extra storage, and it's just overall, people like having a basement. And you can put some program down there, maybe a nice home theater or such. We knew that there was a little bit of groundwater on site, so that determined how high of the foundation we needed to put. So that pretty much placed the foundation right where it's at elevation wise, up and down vertically. So you can see this front section, this little bump out right there, that's actually going to be a walkout deck. And then there are going to be some stairs down, but there's also going to be a bunch of site grading all over the place. As a good friend Bruno of ours, he's the friendly neighbor. He comes and talks to us all the time, gives us water. Yeah, we'll get an interview with him at some point during construction. But anyway, this walkout is going to be, extruding probably like 8 feet, and it's going to be the width of this whole area, but it's going to be a really nice moment, covered porch deck. And then we'll have to have some concrete steps tiered to get you from that elevation to this elevation. Some really light, kind of long spans that gradually lift you a step, a step, a step. So what really determined the height of our steps and how many steps it was going to take to get into the house was our floor system. Because of some of the spans that we had in this floor system, we had to go with a 16-inch open web joist. That was just what the code and the span calculations called for. So now when we raised up the site a little bit, it went from having to have like 4 steps to get up into the deck. We're probably about sitting at 6 or 7. But at the same time, we could also move that down by naturally tiering the concrete patio steps up and up and up, so we can slowly build that grade up, and then we won't have as many steps going in the house. Excuse me, I'm getting a call. Project management things. Hello? This has been the foundation of the new build that we've been doing. Obviously, Superior Walls, the great thing about them is that they came in and they had this done in a day, right? So, obviously it took a couple weeks to get the site prepped, get it all cut in, get the ground fabric laid, the stone put in. But like I said, one day you have a basement foundation and a garage foundation, just like this one. So this is a good system. It's also not as expensive as you would think. A traditional CMU wall or a poured concrete foundation wall, they can be a bit more expensive. There's more time and labor. This is all precast, came in the panels. They knew exactly where they had to put them. Came in with a crane, so it's been great. Next steps for this house is to put the basement slab in, as well as start building the floor deck, putting the joists in and the subfloor on top of that. And then we can start building some walls, and then we can put some trusses, and then we can sheathe it. And we're moving right along. So it's going to be turning out good. So what's really going to be awesome to see is the structure go up and we start to actually see the form of the house, which is pretty much the next step after the basement foundation pad is poured. So this has been the new build foundation. I am Michael, the project manager, and it's been fun. I hope to see you guys again soon. Take care.
I'm Pete Cunningham, and we've been waiting on this build, thinking about it for a couple of years, and we're pretty excited to get this underway.